WP, you are the heir of your noble house. You do not want to be. All 9 of your siblings, all infinitely more capable than you, have desired to be heir, but your father chose you. At the ceremony that hands you the title of head of house, you finally find out why. Great galleons spliced through the water as they approached the docks. I watched them with bated anticipation. Darren had crafted them himself. The great bowed arches that swept into the water, allowing the ships to glide across the waves, were a design he had perfected at a young age. Soon the rest of his fleet would appear on the horizon, following his lead. There was a deafening boom overhead as Helia's dragon shattered the sound barrier. It plummeted towards the ground before pulling back and rearing at the last second, landing with enough force to shake the docks. Always one to make a dramatic entrance. "They have finally come," my father said, grasping my shoulder. "Everything is about to click into place." He spoke the last line as though I wasn't even there, his gaze fixed on the city across the narrow strait. "It takes sacrifice to make a king. What is clicking into place, father?" I asked, but he had already moved away. "Helia, the sunshine of my eye," he said warmly before lowering his voice. "Did you fix that little issue of mine?" Helia removed her demon helmet, throwing back her hair in one smooth motion that drew awed looks from the crowd. Blood speckled her unsmiling face. "The Garans will trouble us no longer," she said. For the first time in 5 years, her eyes settled on me. "Good, good," our father exclaimed, embracing her as though she were still a little girl instead of his ruthless right hand. "What a day," he laughed. "What a day." Then he turned and walked away, smiling to himself. I took one last look at Helia's scowl and at the dragons now descending from the sky, all dwarfed by Fentria, her own colossal beast, before breaking into a trot to catch up with the king. "Aaron," he said as I caught up, "you will need Helia by your side if you are to rule. Be tough with her but fair, and she will always be there when you need her. You have always been close." I looked at him with concern. "It's George, father. Aaron died in the fire long ago." But the old man had already reached the triarch. The 3 bowed low and spoke in unison. "Father!" Yet their faces held none of the warmth their bows implied. "You 3 rascals," the king laughed. "I bet you've been up to no good all morning." "The succession cannot go ahead," the youngest said. "We have seen to it. The Archbishop of Tenaria sleeps with the crabs and coral. That man always loved to go fishing," the king said absent-mindedly. "And he always liked to drink. But fear not, I shall be the one to pass the crown. The law dictates that only the king waved a dismissive hand. "I sent you 3 off to university so you could manipulate the law, not become puppets to it." The middle brother narrowed his eyes. "We have not been to university in many years, father." Yes, very important, I'm sure." The king wandered away, turning to me when we were out of earshot. 11 bloody children. I love you all to death, but my God, don't you go on sometimes." I glanced back. The 3 had already huddled together, no doubt orchestrating another conspiracy. "You'll have to put them in their place," the king reminded me. "Just like you did when they started that revolt. Actions must have consequences." "That was Aaron, father," I said quietly. As I spoke, things started to click into place, but not as my father had meant. "George," Counselor Hardin called from the shadows. The king kept walking while I hesitated. "George," Hardin called again. "It is urgent." I turned. "Hardin," my voice quivered. "It's my father. I think something is wrong with him." "He thinks I'm Aaron." Hardin didn't look surprised. "I'm sorry, my boy, but it is worse than that." Another figure emerged from the shadows, the oldest of my remaining brothers. Tall and lean, with hard muscles and a face that looked as though it had been carved from marble. "Darren." I stepped forward to embrace him, but his face held none of its usual warmth. I stopped. "I am sorry, brother," he said. "But Hardin speaks the truth. You are in danger." "I don't understand." As Hardin stepped fully into the light, his face looked like a pale reflection of its former self. In the 3 months since I had last seen him, he seemed to have aged a decade. "This has happened before," he said calmly. "The council forced the king's abdication. We could not allow him to continue in his state. The last time Aaron was meant to take the throne." He hesitated. Those sharp fox-like eyes measured me. Darren answered before he could. "He has to know." "Know what?" "It wasn't the Garans who killed Aaron," Darren said quietly. "It was our father." My mouth fell open. The air tasted like acid. "No, they attacked the council." Then I remembered Hardin's words. "This has happened before. The council fired the abdication." The world seemed to collapse around me. He killed half the council and Aaron to keep his throne, and now they're forcing it again. I looked from one to the other. And I'm the one he's chosen. My whole life, my father had barely looked at me. When he named me heir, I thought for one glorious moment that he had finally seen me. Instead, I was simply the most disposable. I envied Timothy. He had probably joined the attempt to depose our father the last time this happened. He had been chosen to die because he was too capable. I would die because I wasn't capable at all. My shoulders sagged. "It's the dementia," Darren said gently, placing a hand on my shoulder. "It has corroded his mind." He squeezed reassuringly. We'll put a stop to this. I'll take the throne instead. Everything is already in motion. We've prevented what father intended to do to you during the ceremony. The coronation will proceed, and at the right moment I'll trade places with you. He smiled. Whatever happens, he will lose his crown today. Today, Hardin said, looking towards Darren, we have a new king. I thought I was going to be king, I said quietly. The words sounded like those of a disappointed child. There will be a place for you, Darren promised. There will be a place for all our brothers and sisters. Under my rule, every voice will be heard. I loved Darren. His mind never stopped turning, always searching for possibility. He was a great man. He would make a great king. The knife pierced his throat just beneath his chin. It slid through flesh as effortlessly as a scythe through grass. Great man or not, his body crumpled. His knees buckled and he collapsed onto the stone, sprawled across the ground, as undignified in death as he had been magnificent in life. Hardin's eyes widened, but he recovered with that familiar fox-like efficiency. He understood immediately. The knife remained ready in my hand. When he finally spoke, I knew I had him. Today, he said, straightening slowly, a smile twisting across his narrow mouth, we have a new king. I crouched beside Darren's body and wiped my blade clean on his cloak. It takes sacrifice to make a king,